Most students believe that success in exams depends only on how many hours they study. But what if the real secret has been quietly surrounding you all along, shaping your focus, influencing your memory, and silently deciding whether your effort turns into results or frustration? Imagine sitting down to study with full determination, only to find your mind drifting within minutes, your attention pulled away by small distractions, your motivation fading even before you begin, and you start blaming yourself for a lack of discipline when in reality, the environment around you is working against you in ways you cannot see. The truth is that your brain is not designed to fight constant noise, clutter, and interruptions. It is designed to respond to its surroundings, to adapt to the signals it receives, and when those signals are chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic too. Think about the difference between trying to focus in a crowded room filled with noise and movement versus sitting in a calm, organized space where everything feels intentional, and still, your thoughts slow down, your breathing steadies, and suddenly concentration feels natural instead of forced. This is not motivation. That S is alignment, and it changes everything. Your study environment is not just a place. It is a system that either supports your goals or quietly destroys them, shaping your habits without your awareness. A messy desk tells your brain that disorder is acceptable. A noisy background trains your attention to wander, and constant interruptions teach your mind that focus is temporary and fragile. But when your space is clean, structured, and designed for a single purpose, it sends a powerful message that this is a place for deep work, for clarity, for progress, and your brain begins to follow that command automatically. The most successful students are not always the smartest. They are often the ones who understand this invisible advantage, who create environments that reduce friction and make focus effortless instead of exhausting. They remove distractions before they become problems. They organize their tools so they never waste time searching, and they design their surroundings in a way that makes studying feel like the natural next step instead of a forced decision. This is where transformation begins, not in the number of hours you spend, but in the quality of the space where those hours happen. When your environment supports your intention, discipline becomes easier, consistency becomes natural, and results begin to reflect your true potential. The moment you stop fighting your surroundings and start shaping them, you take control of a powerful force that has always been influencing you. And from that moment forward, your study sessions are no longer a battle. They become a process that flows with clarity, purpose, and quiet confidence. At first, it seems like a simple adjustment, just cleaning your desk, maybe moving to a quieter corner, perhaps turning off your phone. But what most students do not realize is that the environment you create begins to change something much deeper than your immediate focus. It starts to rewire the way your brain associates effort, comfort, and resistance. And this is where the real shift happens. You begin with small changes, removing unnecessary items, organizing your materials, choosing a consistent place to study, and for a moment, it feels easy. Almost too easy, as if this alone cannot possibly impact something as complex as exam success. But then something unexpected happens. Your sessions become slightly longer, your mind wanders a little less, and your ability to return to focus becomes faster. And yet this is only the surface of a much deeper transformation that is quietly building beneath your awareness. As days pass, your brain starts to recognize this environment as a signal, a cue that triggers a specific mode of thinking, a state where distractions lose their power and your attention begins to sharpen without force, and you may not notice it immediately, but your resistance to studying begins to fade, replaced by a subtle sense of readiness whenever you enter that space. However, this is also the point where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves, because just as your environment can train your brain to focus, it can also train it to avoid. And even one small habit, like checking your phone during a study session, introducing background noise, or allowing clutter to return, can weaken the entire system you are building. What makes this even more dangerous is that the effect is gradual and almost invisible. You do not suddenly lose focus. Instead, it slips away slowly, session by session, until one day you find yourself back where you started, struggling to concentrate, wondering why your motivation has disappeared, unaware that your environment has quietly shifted against you. This is the hidden challenge that separates those who achieve consistent productivity from those who remain stuck in cycles of effort and frustration, because maintaining the right environment requires awareness, discipline, and a willingness to protect your space from small compromises that seem harmless in the moment, but carry long-term consequences. the suspense lies in this realization that your progress is not only built by what you do, but also by what you allow. Every distraction you tolerate, every piece of clutter you ignore, every interruption you accept becomes part of the system shaping your results. And yet, this is also where your greatest power exists, because once you understand how deeply your surroundings influence your mind, you gain the ability to design a space that does not just support your goals, but actively pushes you toward them, turning focus into a habit, consistency into a natural outcome, and productivity into something that feels less like effort and more like a state you enter with intention and control. In the end, the environment you build becomes a reflection of the future you are choosing, because every detail in that space either pulls you closer to your goals or quietly pushes them further away. And once you fully understand this, you begin to approach your study area with a new level of intention that goes far beyond simple organization. You start to see your desk not just as a surface, but as a command center where your focus is directed and your discipline is strengthened, and you begin removing anything that does not serve that purpose, leaving behind only what supports clarity, efficiency, and calm. The lighting becomes deliberate, bright enough to keep your mind alert, but soft enough to avoid strain. The chair becomes a tool for posture and endurance. The arrangement of your materials becomes a system that eliminates wasted time, and even the silence or controlled background sound becomes a strategic choice rather than an accident. Over time, this carefully designed environment begins to shape your identity, because when you repeatedly enter a space that is built for focus, you start to see yourself as someone who naturally focuses, someone who shows up consistently. So, Mione who takes their goals seriously without needing constant motivation. This is the moment where studying stops feeling like something you have to force and starts becoming something that aligns with who you are, and that shift is more powerful than any temporary burst of inspiration. You begin to trust your process, knowing that every time you sit down in that space, your mind will follow the pattern you have trained it to follow. And this trust removes the hesitation and doubt that once slowed you down. Even when distractions exist outside your control, your environment acts as a shield, a place where your attention is protected and your effort is amplified, allowing you to make the most of every minute you invest. The results that follow are not sudden or dramatic at first, but they are steady, consistent, and undeniable, building over time until your performance reflects the discipline you have quietly developed. This is how true productivity is created, not through endless struggle, but through alignment between your actions and the space that supports them. And once you experience this, you realize that success was never about forcing yourself to work harder. It was about creating conditions where your best work could happen naturally. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.